Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Getting Started series. I'm sorry for the late start. We had some technical issues here before starting, so I appreciate the fact that you stayed on with all of us. This is a Getting Started presentation. We're going to go through a lot of the basics of the TradeStation platform to get you up and trading as quickly as possible. We're going to talk about charting and trading, and also a little bit of scanning. So our 60-minute presentation is filled with a lot of information, and hopefully we'll get that all that information cleared out for you. Let me just make sure that I don't have any sound here coming out from my tablet. I am looking at the chat, as you can see on my computer. So thank you for your comments and thank you for your participation. The chat is going to be used as a way for you to communicate with me. So if you have any questions or you'd like a little bit more clarification on a certain topic, please feel free to do so via chat. If you'd like to chat, I'm not sure if you noticed, but you need to have a YouTube channel, which is not really difficult to create. Nowadays, everybody has a Google account, so it shouldn't be very difficult to just go through the extra steps to be able to chat. But you do need to be signed in to YouTube in order to chat. And talking about chat a little bit, just keep in mind that everything you say here is public. This is a public venue. It is not only accessible by people that register to the event, but everyone that uses YouTube. So just be mindful of that. Do not share any private information right here in the chat. Some other information that I wanted to go over here on my computer. The Getting Started with TradeStation class is divided in several classes. We're going to do the TradeStation desktop today. This is the software you install on the computer, and that's the one we're going to concentrate on during this class. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we do OptionStation Pro, which is also a 60-minute class, and that is every Wednesday for those of you that trade options. And on Thursday, we do web and mobile. We show you the other platforms that TradeStation has. Web trading and mobile apps allow you to take TradeStation on the go. The ability for you to trade and access your account using a mobile device, I think it's very cool. So those are our classes, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and we repeat those classes every week. If you think you have to join us again for a refresher, feel free to do so. We also have a follow-up class. Maybe this is the type of class that everyone would want to join once in a while, is Ask the TradeStation Experts. You can see right there at the bottom of the slide. It's also a 60-minute presentation, and we do that every Tuesday and every Thursday at noon. That's noon Eastern time. It's just an opportunity for you to join the class, and you would be the ones driving the topics. So here is a way for you to join the class, ask questions, and I do live presentations and live explanations on any of the questions that you share with us during that event. Again, that's Tuesdays and Thursdays, meaning that right after the TradeStation class we're going to do right now, we are going to do a Ask the TradeStation Experts at 12 noon. You're all invited to attend. This slide that I'm showing right now is for the TradeStation Masterclass. This one right here is not updated with the current date and location for the Masterclass. We are doing a Masterclass in August that's going to be right here in Plantation, Florida. Nico is going to be sending a link right here in the chat that will provide you more information about what is the Masterclass. It's now right here in Plantation, we're going to do a 5-day Masterclass. I'm not sure the specific date. Nico, is it August 5th? Not really sure what date it is.
It is August 5th.
It is August 5th, yes. It's going to be from Monday through Friday. You join us in a classroom environment. You get to meet our instructors face-to-face, and we teach about the trading platform. We also teach you about strategy trading and also about easy language programming, which is creating custom indicator, custom strategies, and so forth. So it's a great opportunity to also get to meet other TradeStation users and be able to share trading ideas and different methodologies in analyzing and trading the market. So it's really a great opportunity to get to know TradeStation. So keep that in mind. Every symbol and idea that we talk about here today is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. I'm going to be talking or mentioning symbols and different trading ideas. So those are just for educational purposes. Active trading is not suitable for everyone, so keep that in mind, especially when it comes to trading options, which carry a high degree of risk. If you'd like to read more about these disclosures, just go to TradeStation.com, and the disclosures are going to be all the way at the bottom of the page. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Okay, so that's pretty much all the announcements that I had. So let's go ahead and switch over to my TradeStation platform, and we're going to get started in this presentation of the TradeStation functionality. Okay. So this is the TradeStation platform. Just trying to make sure that there's no questions here that I need to answer before we get started. All right. Perfect. Right here in the TradeStation platform, which I'm already logged in, and you can see that I'm connected to a simulator. Let me bring up my drawing tool so that I can point to things here on my desktop. There we go. If you look down here, right there at the bottom right of my TradeStation desktop, you're going to see the environment that you're connected to. The blue dot right there at the bottom right just means that I'm connected on a simulated environment, allowing me to practice and also use the features in TradeStation without having to risk my own capital. That's very powerful, very convenient, so make sure that you use the simulator. How do you access the simulator? Is right there where you type in the username and password to log into TradeStation. On that same dialog, if you look on the top right, they're going to see the two buttons, live trading and simulated trading. So make sure that you're aware of the environment that you're connected to. But a quick way to double check which one is it that you're connected to is by looking at the bottom right corner of the platform. It tells you which environment you are on. Also, if you look at the account number right there at the bottom of your TradeStation, you're going to see that the account number starts with the letters SIM, representing a simulated account. Right? Perfect. When you first opened up TradeStation, you also probably noticed a workspace called TradeStation Today. I don't have it open here on my screen. That's why it looks like an empty canvas, but we're going to get there in a moment. I just want to point out to these three tabs that are here on the top left. Top left corner, these are three tabs that you can hover over them, and it'll roll out a menu with different things you can do on the TradeStation platform. So that's pretty much where you get started on the top left. If you want to open an application, you go to Apps. If you want to trade something, you go to Trade. And if you want to look at your positions, you go to the Position Graph bar. Let me show you how they work. I take my cursor, I hover over Apps, and you get a collection of applications that you can open up within the platform. If I hover over Trade, I get a trade bar. And if I open Position Graph bar, I get a series of indexes right there on the top left. I don't have any open positions right now on the simulator, and that's why it appears to be blank. But as I start trading on my simulator, you're going to see how that bar is going to populate. So let's go first of all to Apps, because I did mention early that when you first log into TradeStation, you get the TradeStation Today workspace, and sometimes you may lose this workspace, or you may not know where to find it. It's right here in the Apps section. You go to Apps, and the TS Today button is right there on the top. TS Today is just a way of us letting you know what's happening at TradeStation. Let me click on TS Today and open it up here on my screen. This is the way that it looks. I'm going to use a square here to point to different things. Right here on the top left, it's a featured video box. So that's where we usually upload any recorded presentations that we've done recently. If you're looking for a recorded version of this class, is right there in this drop down that you find up here. you can go to and click on Getting Started with the TradeStation Trading Platform. If you look over here on the bottom left, you find a recommended workspaces. TradeStation comes with some built-in workspaces that you can use as examples. They're not meant to be the perfect workspaces. They're just meant to give you ideas on how to set up your applications and how to arrange the different markets that you're going to be following. Right here in the middle, we have the social feed, giving you a glance of different social tweets that we've posted in our accounts. So that gets updated frequently, and you can see what's happening at TradeStation quickly. And the top right, I think this is very convenient because it gives you a calendar of events. So if you want to see what's upcoming at TradeStation, what guest speakers we've invited, just come here, click on the dates that are on the far right, and it gives you a view of all the events that are upcoming. And with a very convenient register button that allows you to register for any of these events. So the TradeStation Today workspace, as I said earlier, can be found right here in Apps, and you click on TS Today, it'll give you a view of that workspace. I'm going to start creating workspaces of my own, and I'm going to use this little button at the bottom left of TradeStation. You're going to find a little plus right there next to the tab that is opened. The plus allows you to create new workspaces. So let me go ahead and click on that plus. Open up a new workspace. There we go. You can see that the tab is named Untitled Workspace, meaning that I haven't saved it. You can save it and give it a custom name so that you can start creating your own tabs at the bottom of TradeStation. Let's start creating some applications. I'm going to click on Apps right here on the top left and click on Chart Analysis. That's the first application that I'm going to show you. All right, this is a chart of BA. You can see that it's buoyant right here on the top left corner. Let me show you a couple things you can do in charting that are very basic but are going to give you a lot of control of the way that the chart looks. First, how to expand the view. I'm looking at a chart of Boeing, and I'm looking at about 5 or 6 historical days. If I use the up arrow key on my keyboard, up arrow, and press it multiple times, you can see how the chart expands. I can see more detail. That's convenient. If I press the down arrow key multiple times, the opposite happens. It compresses the chart. Very easy. If I take my cursor and I put it on top of any candle, you see how the cursor changes into a little hand, implying that I can click and drag those candles in any direction. Let me go ahead and do that so that you can see. I'll click and drag up here. I'll click and drag down here. You can see how the candles move with my hand. I can also move my little cursor all the way here to the right hand side where the prices are, and I can click and drag, giving me a different view, or even allowing me to add a little bit more detail on the price scale on the right hand side. So that's it's very convenient also. If you're done with moving the chart around and you want to reset it to the way that it was when you first started, I'm gonna move down here to the bottom of the chart, and you're gonna see a set of buttons that allow you to not only expand or contract the chart, but it also allows you to zoom in and zoom out. And if you've moved the chart around, you see a 5th button that actually allows you to reset the scaling. I'm going to click on this button, and you can see how the scaling is reset to the way that I had it before. Okay. Perfect. All right. The new version of TradeStation is going to be available in the Client Center. So if anybody is using 9.5, which is fine, 9.5 is still a working version of TradeStation, but if you're looking to upgrade to version 10, you're going to find it in the Client Center, which is on our website, TradeStation.com, and then you click on Login at the very top and go to the Client Center. You're going to find the download software links in there. Some questions here about having a demo account of TradeStation. If you'd like to use TradeStation on a demo basis, I don't believe it's available, but I would check with our account representatives. So give TradeStation a call and see what options are there. I don't think it's very difficult to open up an account at TradeStation and you have access to this trading simulator to be able to trade. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other things you can do in charting. For the most part, if you're looking at a chart, you may want to insert some technical drawings or some technical studies. The drawing menu right here on the top allows you to insert any type of drawing tool. So whether you're looking for something basic like a line or something a little bit more analytical like the Fibonacci retracement lines, those are all going to be here in this drawing menu. And if you're looking for studies, they're going to be right here in the next button over called Studies. Very simple. The toolbar at the top will provide you all the things you need in charting. Right here, the very first one is the time frame. By default, TradeStation will give you... Okay, I clicked on something that I shouldn't have. By default, the chart will come up as a 5-minute chart, and you can see that on the top left. But you can change the time frame by just clicking here on the time frame button and then selecting from the ones that we have displayed here. So you have some time-based intervals, we have some tick intervals as well, and we have daily, weekly, monthly right here below. If what you're looking for is not available in this drop down, just click on Customize at the very bottom, and it'll take you to a dialog where you can specify any time frame that you'd like. But this is just a quick shortcut. So if I wanted to do a daily interval, I just click on daily, and there it is. This is a daily chart of Boyne as I'm looking at it. So let me press the up arrow a little bit so we can expand the view. And let's say that I wanted to add some moving averages. Well, let me go here to Studies, Add Study, and let me use the moving average 2-line, and I'll click OK. By the way, there's dozens of different studies here. So if you go to Studies, Add Study, and you find something that catches your attention, just highlight that study, like moving average DEMA, something that is not so popular, and then click on Definition right here below. It'll take you to documentation that explains how the indicator works and how it should be interpreted. So we do have a lot of information for you in regards to all these studies. I'm just going to select the one that we are all familiar with, which is a moving average 2-line. Let me put it right here on the chart. I'll just click OK. Okay, so you can see how the 2 lines show up on the screen. If I wanted to make modifications to those lines, meaning that I want to change the parameters, see the ones that I just put on there are using, I believe, a 9 and an 18 period bar moving average. What if you wanted a 50 and a 100? Well, that can be easily done by double clicking on the lines. And you're going to notice that a lot of times when you want to personalize or customize items on TradeStation, it just requires a double click. Let me double click on one of the lines and show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to double click on this purple line. Doesn't matter which one you double click on first, it'll take you to the exact same place. And here it took me to Customize Indicator. You just have to make sure you're in the right dialog. This is the Customize Indicator moving average 2 lines. Because if you double click somewhere else that is not the line, let's say that I think I'm double clicking on the lines but I wind up clicking on the background, it'll take me to a different customizing dialog, which is Customize Window, which is okay. I mean, I want you to experiment and go in here and see what options are available for you to personalize your TradeStation desktop. So if you wind up here, take a look at all the different tabs that are available. But if you want to change the parameters of the moving average, you just have to be a little bit more precise as to where you're double clicking on so that you're on the right dialog. So I'm going to double click on the lines. It takes me to Customize Indicator and the Inputs tab. This is very important to remember. The Inputs tab is going to allow you to change any study that is out there. And this is true for every study. It doesn't change. I'm going to show you just one because every other study is exactly the same way. If you want to change the parameters, you just double click on it and then go to the inputs. Right here, I'm going to change the fast length to 50 and the slow length to 100. If I wanted to compare a 50 period moving average against a 100, I click OK. And there it is. The lines are there. Now these are the moving averages on Boeing And what I'm looking for is for those two lines to cross. You see, we have a cross over here. We have another cross over here closer to the current activity. If they cross on the current bar, that would, represent a change in trend. These are very kind of slow moving averages. They're not as reactive to current market activity because the size that we selected was 50 bars. It takes 50 days for these lines to calculate. So if you want a faster or more reactive moving average, you may want to use a smaller parameter. But even if you want to use 50 and 100, we have a way of TradeStation letting us know when those two lines cross. And this is turning on an alert on a study. This is true for every study in TradeStation. So if you want to turn on the alert, you can do so. They're off by default. So if you want to be notified of something, you have to go the extra steps to enable it so that TradeStation can notify you. How do I enable the alert on those moving averages so that if they cross, they would let me know? Well, again, I'm going to double click on the lines and go to the alerts tab. And all you need to do is enable the alert. So you don't have to go into the configuration and the conditions and the criteria because that's already pre-programmed. All you need to do is come over here and enable the alert, and it'll do an alert based on your configuration. If I want to change the sound, or if you want to change the way that the pop-up is displayed, just click on configure over here and it gives you the opportunity to change the sound or the pop-up message. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I'm just going to leave the checkbox enabled and I'm just going to click OK. Let me see if there's any questions here in the chat that I can take. There is a recorded version of this class. So if you miss any of the information, you can always search the university. And I think Nico has shared the link here with everyone. So you can save the link for later viewing if you want to pause the video and see it. And for the comment that I see, you missed the moving average setup, that's totally fine. It's very simple to do. Remember that all the studies are up here in the studies tab. So you go up to the studies and you find the studies that you're going to be inserting on the moving average. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at another thing. I'm going to go to the drawing menu and show you what you can do also with the drawing tool, which I find very interesting. Let me do a horizontal line. And I'm going to put my horizontal line right here at 340. So I'm going to bring it down. There it is, 340. That's a line that I just put on there. You can see the value right here on the left-hand side, 340. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an alert right there. And this is very, very, very simple to do. I mean, it just requires you to go to drawing, select horizontal line, bring the line to the level that you want. And now I'm going to double click on the line, go to the alerts tab and enable the alert. That's all I need to do. I click OK, and now that line is hot, meaning that as soon as the price touches the line, I'm going to be alerted in the way that the price touches that line. I think that's very interesting. Okay. So let's go ahead and I showed you a few things here in charting. I'm going to transition over to trading. But before, just to recap, I showed you how to maneuver the chart. So up arrow, down arrow to compress and expand the chart. I also showed you the time frame up here to change the time frame on those candles. We went over drawing to draw lines on the chart. And we went over studies if you're looking for any popular indicators such as MACD, RSI, DMI, Bollinger Bands. Those are all going to be available right here in the studies category. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at some trading. I'm going to open up a new workspace by using the tab plus right here at the bottom. And I'm going to go to apps and show you the matrix. Right here, the matrix is one of the applications that are built into TradeStation, and it's the one that I like for a trading demonstration. I'm going to show you exactly why. Let me open up the matrix. Okay, I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger because this is kind of small for a demonstration, and you can do this in every application in TradeStation. I'm going to go to Settings, go to Window, and I'm going to make the font maybe a 10 and set it as a default. Okay, perfect. So let me change the symbol. Oh, one thing that I did not show you in charting is how to change the symbol. Symbols are very easily changed in TradeStation. It just requires you to type in the new symbol and hit the Enter key. Doesn't get any harder than that. In fact, let me just demonstrate. I have BA right here on this screen. Boing. Let's suppose that I want to trade Bank of America. I type in BAC, and I want you to take a look at what's happening here. Right here in the middle, you see the command line. I didn't have to click anywhere for this to pop up. I just had to press a key on the keyboard, and TradeStation assumes that I'm going to type in a command, and it gives me the command line. All I need to do now is just press the Enter key on the keyboard so that TradeStation takes that command. Let me go ahead and do that. So once I hit the Enter key, you can see that Bank of America gets loaded right here on the top left. And this is true also for charting. So in a chart analysis, we had a chart of Boeing. If you wanted to change the symbol, just type it in using your keyboard and press the Enter key. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay. All right. Donald's asking a question about alerts on accounts where you don't have any funds in. If you have an account where you don't have any funds, remember that the login to TradeStation is based on your relationship to TradeStation. If you have an active account, even if it doesn't have any funds, you should have access to the platform. I can set up alerts in the simulator, and those simulator alerts are also enabled in my live account if I switch over to my live account. So remember that the alerts that you set up are based on studies and are based on analysis techniques that you are saving to the workspace. The switch between live account and simulated account is something independent. So if you set up an alert, it can work in your simulated and it can also work in your live account. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some trading here. First of all, let me explain what's going on. I'm going to point out to a few things here on this window so we know exactly what we're looking at. For example, right here, the blue, those numbers that you see inside the blue are any orders that are sent to the market to buy Bank of America. And over here on the red, we find all the orders that are being sent to sell Bank of America. So think of the blue as the buyers and the red as the sellers. And when they submit orders to the market, we're actually seeing what is their full interest. How many shares are being sold at that level, or how many shares are being bought at that level. Not yet, because the price is right here in the middle. This is the current price of Bank of America, but as the price goes up and down, it's going to be hitting those interest of buying and selling Bank of America. Right here on the far right, we see actual volume. So this is actually transacted volume. So every time that Bank of America trades, it gets recorded right here, and you see the actual number of shares that are being traded at each one of the prices. So there is a lot of information going on here, and that's one of the reasons why I prefer to use the matrix to trade, because you are submitting orders in relationship to what's happening in the market at any given moment. So let's go ahead and submit an order to buy. Let me hide this. Let me resize my matrix so that I can bring my trade bar here closer to my my columns. This is the trade bar right here on the right hand side. It also has a lot of trading functionality, especially, you know, the size of your trade. If you want to do trailing stops or anything like that, it's all going to be available right there. So for example, let's say that I want to put in an order for 1,000 shares of Bank of America. First, I'm going to change the quantity right here to 1,000. And I'm also going to change my duration. Duration is important because duration by default is set to day, meaning that the order is only good for today's trading session. at 4 p.m. when the market closes, that order is going to be canceled. So if you want your order to remain active for multiple trading sessions, just make sure you change the duration to something like GTC, which is good till cancel. So let's suppose that I want to buy Bank of America at $28.40. I see the price down here. I move over to the buy because I did say that I want to buy, and take a look at what happens on my matrix. It displays a box to the left-hand side that says buy 1,000 limit. So it's giving me a preview of what my order is going to look like. And as soon as I click in here, I get this confirmation window asking me if I want to place the following trade. It's for 1,000 shares of Bank of America at $28.40. Now, I'm going to disable confirmations for this demo so I don't have to click through this confirmation every single time that I place a trade. But confirmations are great, especially if you're getting familiar with the functionality. You want to make sure that you're placing the trade that you're intending to place. But for this demo, I'm just going to put a check here where it says, don't show me this again for matrix equity orders. And I won't get this confirmation next time that I trade. If you're familiar with the functionality and you want to go ahead and disable confirmations, it's up to you. It turns this window into a one-click order entry tool, which I think it's very efficient. So I put a check there to disable confirmations and I say yes. And the order goes through. The blue box that I was seeing while I was hovering stays there. That's my order to buy 1,000 shares of Bank of America. Okay. Let's go ahead and see. Neil, I see your question about scanning for at-the-money options on open interest. It is something that is a little bit more complicated, and I think it's for a later session. So you're welcome to join us and ask the questions again later on this afternoon. Okay, how do you get the default order type to auto? It always goes to limit. The order type right here, auto, limit, stop, it's interesting because the matrix will select the type of order based on where you are in relationship to the current trading price. So if I hover over the buy and I'm below the current trading price, the way that I am right now, notice how the type of order is limit. But if I move over to the top above the current trading price, the order type changes to stop. So it switches the order type automatically for you. What the user is saying that is always default into limit. I'm not sure why is that. You may have to, if you've already created a new matrix window, you may want to check that. Also, it could be an order entry preference. We'll have to check that for you. So if you'd like, join me in the Ask the TradeStation Experts. That way we can continue on the concepts here and we can tackle that question later on. Okay, let's go ahead and adjust our order. We're going to get to some of that functionality, Carlos, how to do targets and stops. Before that, I need to get filled. I put in an order at $28.40. You can see it down here. I know that the current price is $28.49, and if I want to get filled, I probably have to, sell or buy it at $28.51, which is where all the sellers are. So that's the nice thing about having all the sellers here, that I know what the liquidity is at each one of these price levels. There's about 70,000 shares being sold at that price. So I'm going to do something very interesting. I'm going to click that order and drag it. You can do that with any order within the matrix. It makes it very simple to adjust the price on any order. Let me show you. Let's raise it to 28.48 first. I'm going to click it. I'm going to raise it to 28.48, and I'm going to release. Notice how it cancels the original one and moves my order to that price level, 28.48. I'm going to drop it right here where the sellers are, 28.51. There we go. And I get filled. I get a big horizontal blue row letting me know that that is my entry price. I got filled at 28.52. And over here on the left, you have P&L. Great column to set your profit losses and your stop losses and your profit targets. You can use that dollar amount right there in that column to set those targets and stops. So if I want to set a target at $150, notice that I can just hover over that amount and I can click. Once I click, I have a selling transaction, which is our red box, if Bank of America reaches that level. If I wanted to cancel that target, I just hover over the box and click it. That cancels the order. The same if I want to do a stop. Let's say that I want to do a stop at $100. I can hover over the negative 100, click, and this is a stop order right there at the bottom. Doesn't get any harder than that. So I can click and drag any of these orders if I wanted to adjust. Notice that I can click and drag the order to adjust it at any given moment. By the way, I recommend that you try this on the simulator. It'll give you an opportunity to test this functionality without having to risk your capital, and also gives you a little bit of confidence when you try to do this on your real account. Okay? I see a question here, how to make the trade bar larger. I'm not sure what you mean exactly. If you're talking about the trade bar right here at the top of TradeStation, that is pretty much controlled by your screen resolution. So whatever your screen resolution is set to, it's probably driving the size of your TradeStation platform. Let's go ahead and take a look at another trade. I'm going to leave this working for now. By the way, if you're looking for trailing stops, let me cancel this order and enter that as a trailing stop. Over here on the right, you have buy trailing stop and sell trailing stop. So I can say, if let's say for example that I wanted a 10-cent trailing stop. Here in points, I'm going to enter 0.10, and I'm just going to click the red button here, sell trailing stop. When I do that, my order's right there. Now instead of being a fixed stop, it's a stop that trails by a 10-cent amount. So as the market goes in my favor, that stop is going to follow the price and stay 10 cents within that price. It's a very interesting concept. Someone's asking about the V next to the price. If you look at one of the prices in the column, we'll have a V next to it. That's a VWAP calculation. VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. That's exactly what that price is. And it happens in real time as trading goes on. So you can see what the volume weighted average price is. Okay, let's go ahead and put in another trade. And for this particular one, I'm going to change the symbol. Let's do a futures. ESM. Has it rolled over to September yet? Let's see. I know that it's still trading in June. So ESM 19. Okay, notice that I used the keyboard to type it in and hit the enter key. And this type of trade that I'm going to talk about here is a type of trade where you have your profits and your targets already planned out with your entry. So you know that you want to buy something, in this case a futures contract, but at the same time you have an expectation of how far that price may go up in your favor, and you have an expectation on how much that price could drop. So that would be your risk. So in your mind, you're already planning as to what is it that you're shooting for. And if it goes against you, you want some protection so that it exits your position so you don't lose as much money. So we're going to do all that trade in one, and we're going to call that an OSO. If you're not familiar with the OSO functionality, it is a way for you to send an order that has exits attached to it, so that you don't have to be concerned about protecting yourself or setting out a plan, because you are doing it all in one trade. So let's go ahead and take a look at that trade. I'm going to switch over here to my platform and see how we can do this. To do this type of trade, we use this feature over here on the right hand side, which is called Attach OSO. It gives you the ability to attach whatever is inside this drop down to the original or to the primary order. I'm just going to use the simple bracket. It's an exit bracket. That's what BRK stands for. And it tells you that it's one limit and one stop, which is pretty much what we talked about, a profit target and a stop loss. You can go a little bit step further and a few steps further and click on the ellipsis to modify your stops and your targets, or to specify the offset. We call that the offset, which is the distance from your primary to that target and to the stop. I'm just going to use the defaults, and I want you to take a look at how this order looks right here on the screen. Let's suppose that I want to buy at $28.94. I'm just going to hover over that price and click. This is my confirmation. Notice how it has a primary and then it has this bracket right here. I'm going to say yes, and the order goes through. Take a look at the 3 orders, because with one click, I was able to submit those 3 orders. The primary to buy it at $28.94, and then I have my bracket already attached to the primary, waiting for that to get filled, and then it'll send those active orders for me. I'm going to get filled. I just got filled. You see the blue bar running across, and the darker boxes that were queued orders before now are active. Now they become red, and I have my target and my stop. So a very simple way for you to submit a trade that is going to take care of your position at all different scenarios. If it goes in your favor, if it goes against you, you already have a plan in place. So you can go and leave that trade working for you and then concentrate on other markets if you want to do that. Okay? All right. I do have multiple tabs right here at the bottom. Remember, we talked about that at the beginning. There's a little plus right here at the bottom allowing you to open up more tabs if you want to do so. Craig, I see your question about VWAP on charting. We don't have a VWAP for charts. However, there are multiple tools on the forums that you can import into your TradeStation platform. If that's something that interests you, join me and Ask the TradeStation Experts. We'll try to give you an example. Does it display your purchase price? That's a question from the chat. Every fill price is going to highlight in a blue if you're long the average price. So I know that my entry price is $28.94. And if you're short, it'll be the same horizontal bar, but it'll be red, letting you know that you're short that particular instrument. In this case, I know that my fill price was $28.94. If you're looking for specifics on your trading activity, pull up what's called the Trade Manager. So I'm going to go here to Apps, click on Trade Manager. Where is it? Trade Manager is going to be your control center for all the orders that you submit in any given moment or day. So let me resize this so you can see more of it. Notice how the different orders are color-coded based on the status, but I know that the ones that are gray are the ones that are working for me right now. The blue ones are filled, and it goes by the status right here, order status. See how the blues are filled, the orange are kind of yellow or you are out, and the gray ones are received. From here, you can react to what's happening, so I can right-click on any row, and I have ways to cancel an order if I want to. And the Trade Manager also has multiple tabs right here at the bottom, allowing me to go to positions and take a look at my positions that I have for today. I have a position on Bank of America and a position on the S&P 500, which, as you can see, just disappeared on me because I probably hit my stop or my target. If I go over here to orders and I look at my S&P, I got filled at $28.94. and it hit my target at $28.96. So that's interesting. So it's a winning trade. Okay, so the Trade Manager, as I said before, is the control center for you to look at everything that's happening in your account. Excellent. Let's go ahead and show you some little bit of scanning. We only have about 10 minutes in class, and I want you to leave the class with a little bit on scanning and how you can scan the markets. Let me open up here a new workspace and go to an application that we call the RadarScreen. Okay, this is what the RadarScreen looks like when you first open it. It's blank. I'm going to add a list of symbols that is prepackaged. Here you can type in symbols manually if you want. So I can type in, MSFT and hit enter, and it loads up right here on the screen. Okay, I'm just gonna do it a little bit different this time. Let me click on Microsoft and press delete on the keyboard to get rid of it. In the data button here in RadarScreen, I can select add a symbol list, and you have some prepackaged list of symbols. You can go to other symbol lists and you'll see the whole collection of symbol lists that we have available in TradeStation. Some of them are grouped by industry sector, which makes it a very interesting and easy way to, track different sectors if that's what you want to do. For this demo, I just want to show the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ 100. Let's choose the NASDAQ 100. So it'll add the symbols here to my radar screen. You can see that it creates multiple columns. If you have enough space in your radar screen, it'll give you this, it's called snaking feature, where you have a column of symbols on the left, and there's enough space, it'll follow with another column of symbols on the right side. But what I want to do is I want to scan the NASDAQ 100 symbols in a moving average cross. If you remember at the beginning of the class, when we talked about charting, we used a moving average two-line, and we talked about the cross, right? But that was just for Boeing. What if we wanted to do the same idea and look for any symbol that is crossing right now? Well, let me click on the plus right here in the last column. And this takes me to a list of studies that are the same studies you use in charting. So technically, if I insert this column for the moving average right here on this radar screen, all these 100 symbols that I just inserted in this radar screen are going to be 100 chart analysis windows. They're going to have historical data in the background calculating. Makes it very powerful. Let me go ahead and select or look for the moving average two line. All right, here we go. Add it. I'm going to move it down all the way to the bottom. Click OK. And it adds those moving average right here on the right. Actually, I selected the exponentials. Let me delete this and go to add again. I just wanted the simple ones. So let me click on the plus one more time. There we go. We have a two-line moving average. There we go. That's the one that I wanted. I'll click OK. Okay, and there it is. It's calculating the value of each one of those moving averages for me. Let me go ahead and open up a chart, because when I look at a column like this on 100 symbols, sometimes I want to click on a symbol so I can see a chart of it and see how the historical prices look and see if it's a good crossover, because sometimes a stock may be in a consolidation period where it's just bouncing back and forth between that line, and it's not gonna be a good crossover. So I do need a view of the data to see if it's a good crossover or not. Let me open up my apps and click on chart analysis. All right, there it is. Let me put my chart here on the right hand side. Okay, and let me resize them a little bit so that I can see more of my radar screen. Perfect. I'm going to link the windows together, and the linking is using these buttons up here. The S on the radar screen and the S in charting. So when I click on a symbol here, let's say that I click on Adobe on the left-hand side, Adobe gets loaded right here on my chart. Very convenient, very useful, so make sure you use it. I'm going to go to the drawing, not the drawing, the studies button, and I'm going to click on add study because I'm adding the same moving average two-line study. And there it is. Let me open up the chart using the up arrow, and you can see the values here of the moving averages. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the alert inside of RadarScreen so that it tells me which ones are crossing right now. That's very, very powerful. Let me go ahead and right click on the header for the moving average. Go to studies, and I'm going to edit the moving average for all symbols because I want to filter all symbols. Let me show you how quickly I can sort these and rank them by the crossover. I'm going to enable the alert for that moving average cross, and this is the way that you get alerted when something is crossing. But I'm going to disable the messaging. I disable messaging because I don't want to click through, pop-up messages and have sirens going off for 100 symbols simultaneously. So I'll show you how the alerts will show up. And I'm going to click OK. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but I want you to take a look at what's happening right here. Oh. Okay, do you guys see that marker right there, the one that I'm circling? It's a red marker. When you turn off notifications, that's the way that alerts show up in RadarScreen. I know it's hard to see on the screen, maybe because it's a little bit too small, But on your TradeStation, you're going to see that a red marker will identify the ones that are triggering the alert. In fact, if I scroll down, I see a few more. Not sure if you see them, but let me mark them so you can see them better. Here's one, here's another, another, and another, and so forth. So you have multiple red markers going on for you. What I'm going to do, and this is something that has been added to my radar screen, I'm going to filter my radar screen so that it only shows me the ones that are crossing right now. That is where the ranking comes. Right here at the top, you're going to see there's a row allowing you to create a filter. I'm going to go to the first drop down and select a filter based on the moving average. And I want the moving average to look for an alert that is true. And as soon as I do that, the 100 list of symbols are filtered to just 3. So right now, at this moment, only 3 symbols are crossing right now. Let's take a look. The symbol is ILMMN. Illumina is a corporation. Take a look right here on the chart. Does everybody see the crossover right here happening on the current bar? Of course, this is a scan on a 5-minute chart. We can change the data interval if you want. But the idea is that within a couple minutes, we were able to scan 100 symbols and find which ones we're crossing right now. Let me click on another one, Intel. Okay, notice how Intel is crossing as we speak. And the other one is MCHP. You click it, and you can see how the crossover is there. This is a 5-minute scan. You can see how symbols are popping in as the criteria is met. And I think that's where the power of RadarScreen is that this tool is a real-time scanner. So as the criteria is met, you'll see the symbols appear and disappear right there on the scan. Notice how now we have 2 symbols. One symbol was dropped because it wasn't meeting the criteria anymore. And if you wanted to change, the frequency or the resolution of the scan, when I talk about the resolution, I'm talking about the interval. This is a scan on a 5-minute chart. What I do is I click on the symbol column to highlight all the symbols, and in the time frame, I set them to daily. It'll change the calculation completely. And then on the chart here, I also go to time frame, and I set them to daily so I can look for the actual scan. Take a look at what's going on here. See how we have more symbols? On a 5-minute, I was only getting 3, but if I change it to a daily, I have more that are crossing right now. For example, Apple is crossing right now. See, there's a crossover on the 2 moving averages that we put on the chart. That's very, very interesting that we can do that in RadarScreen. Let me see if there's any last-minute questions that I can take here in this class. Okay. Is it the same process to open a short operation? Carlos? Yes, most definitely. If you want to create a short in the matrix, let me show here in the matrix. Where's my matrix? Window, matrix. Okay, right here in my matrix, if you wanted to go short, you just have to click on the red side here. Same way we did in, let me show you. So if I click here on the red, sends a confirmation, and it sends the same thing, but that's an order to actually go short. If I get filled, everybody can see that. Let me drop it a little bit more. There we go. Once I get filled, you get that red row letting you know that you are in a short trade. Okay. Can the Matrix app also be used to trade options? Yes, it can be used to trade options. You just need to pull up the options symbol the same way we did with a stock or a futures, but it is possible to trade options on the Matrix. Also, if you'd like to learn more about this, trading options, we have a class tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. on OptionStation Pro. I know that Nico has sent registration links right here in the chat, but if you haven't registered, I think Nico is going to be sending it again just in case. When using the OSO order entry, can I cancel either the stop or limit order if the price appears that it will keep on going for me? I want to let my profits run. Mike, yes. What Mike is saying is that can I cancel the orders at any given moment? For example, here I have a target of 125. At any points, I can click and drag it and go a little bit higher. Maybe market conditions change. Maybe you're a little bit more optimistic and you want to let it run a little bit more. You can keep on dragging it or cancel it altogether. If I click on the little box on top of it, it'll cancel the order altogether. How do you add columns if there's no plus button? If you're looking to add columns to RadarScreen and you don't see the plus button, go to Studies and Add Study. That's a quick way to do it. No data screen on my radar. Daniel, I'm not sure if you're talking about the data button up here. That's something that shows up on the application. And if it's not there, try going to the View menu and Application Toolbars and make sure that it's shown. Okay. John wishes he could use TradeStation in Canada. I wish that was true also. Too bad regulations don't let us. Can I set up an alarm that is triggered only when 2 or more studies are met? Yes, Carlos, that's something possible. It may require a little bit of programming, but everything is possible in TradeStation. Okay. Excellent. All right. So if there's any questions that I didn't get to, or you'd like to join the follow-up session we're going to have today, which is Ask the TradeStation Experts, it starts in about 30 minutes. And you can ask any questions related on any topic, and we'll try to answer that question here live. But for now, it was a pleasure spending all this time with you. I appreciate you, taking time out of your schedules to learn about TradeStation. And again, if I didn't get to your question, please join us in 30 minutes and ask the TradeStation Experts. I'll try to answer those questions there. But for now, thank you very much for your time. Tomorrow is going to be OptionStation Pro at 10:30, and on Thursday we're going to have a class on web and mobile. So thank you everyone for your time, and I hope to see you in a future event right here at TradeStation. Bye-bye, everyone.